Welcome to the first session of BIM Harambee Africa virtual conference. My name is Karmen Volmink. I'm a professional architectural technologist, and I will be discussing how to begin with BIM. Thank you for joining this session. I really appreciate your time spent here. The agenda is displayed on the slide on the screen. I will be introducing myself, discussing what BIM is, doing an evaluation on BIM, and giving you our best tips to how to begin with BIM. So my name is Karmen. I am a practicing architectural technologist in the Kingdom of Eswatini. I am a proficient user in ArchiCAD. For the last 13 years or so, we've been using this BIM solution. I am passionate about technology and BIM, and generally the digital disruption in our industry. My perspective shared in this learning session is largely based on my background in architecture and in using Graphisoft ArchiCAD BIM workflow. Regardless, BIM is for all AEC professionals. I think even if you're a quantity surveyor or an engineer, you can apply these principles, and I hope that you find value in this learning session. We have a cheat sheet for you to download with all the acronyms for this learning session. I hope that that will be helpful as you navigate all the talks during this BIM conference. So grab a pen and a paper and let's take notes and begin. Our goals for this learning session are to share our knowledge on BIM practice. It's very important for us that you grasp the concept of BIM and that it is an easy decision for you to make to transition your practice or your specific workflow towards a BIM workflow. Those are our goals for the session, so I hope that you will enjoy this. What is BIM? Building information modeling is very much talked about in the industry, but what is it exactly? What is it used for, and who should use it? The basic principle of BIM is designers are able to create 3D building models and extract all the required project drawings and project building views. Sections, elevations, presentation drawings and renderings, even detailed construction drawings, quantity estimations and calculations can be extracted from a BIM model. Essentially, you are working with a three-dimensional building model that gives you flexibility and benefits that are simply not present in the case of 2D drawing. Having a BIM model allows the designer to simulate the building and its behavior long before it's built. Before we begin with discussing BIM, let's evaluate the old methods of designing. 2D CAD evaluation. Before BIM was introduced, early commercial CAD applications were no more than electronic drawing boards. They were capable of only creating 2D drawings. The most important aspect is that this was a slow, tedious exercise for all designers. The most important benefits and drawbacks of 2D CAD are listed on this slide. 2D CAD has major advantages compared to hand drawing. However, it's not able to provide solutions for the many problems that arise during a building project. The most critical drawback of these is the lack of automatic change management between multiple drawings. All changes that were done on a 2D drawing system created a labor-intensive manual task of relaying those changes onto all affected views. Now let's evaluate the 3D CAD system. Take a moment to read through the slide. Thanks to the rapid development of computer hardware and computer programming, the 3D CAD applications followed quite shortly after 2D CAD programs, I think within a couple of years. 3D CAD programs allowed the designer to create spatial models of the buildings together with the necessary 2D documentation. Some drawings like sections, elevations, and details can be partially derived from the 3D model, but in most cases, the documentation is kept in a separate file or sets of file. See the infographic on the screen. Most 3D applications are kept in separate files from the models. Visualization tools and quantity calculations were the most progressive features of 3D CAD. In general, we could say that the 3D CAD applications provided many advantages for designers compared to the 2D CAD and hand drafting. Visualization and scheduling are two of the most obvious benefits, as you've seen on the screen. I think even so, 3D CAD has major drawbacks in relation to BIM. Most importantly, we can list as a major drawback the lack of real architectural elements and automatic documentation. Let's have a look at the evolution of the AEC CAD. Computer-aided design applications have gone through some major changes over the last couple of years. The evolution of CAD softwares was even more significant in the AEC, architecture, engineering, and construction industry, where simple two-dimensional drafting programs have been developed into integrated building information models, which is BIM, over the last 30 years. The breakthrough in CAD usage arrived in the early 80s when personal computers went into market. This was a time when computer prices dropped, and this opened the way for smaller architectural firms or engineering firms to start experimenting with computer-aided design drafting. So thanks to this rapid development of computer hardware, 3D CAD applications followed the 2D CAD programs with only a few years. The concept of building information modeling also evolved during these years, although some revolutionary CAD companies had already released some similar products in the early 80s. The next trend in the industry was the integrated solutions offered for construction companies, and this approach is known as 4D and 5D BIM, which is time, cost, and 3D. The latest growing trend, though, is supplementing the BIM models with facility management, which is FM, and lifecycle management information to help the work of a building operator. This is 6D to 7D shown on the screen. I'm going to pull up a chart here with the evolution of CAD. As shown on this chart, the history of CAD programs goes back to the early 60s. What's interesting is the use of different CAD tools is closely related to the history of the CAD industry. Notice the tendencies in CAD usage over the last 30 years. Even though great advances were made in computer software, hand drafting has continued to be main practice until the last decade or so. I'd also like you to notice the growth in BIM tendencies, as shown on the chart. Given that we are in the year 2020, where would you position yourself on this chart? The BIM concept, building information modeling, also known as the virtual building or building simulation. Since the BIM concept was developed to serve the AEC market, this method may have many advantages over the traditional CAD methods for architects, engineers, and all designers. The BIM model holds the project views and information, and the designer is able to extract rich information instantaneously. On this slide, I have inserted an image of a wall and a window. As you can see displayed on this slide, there is a lot of information which we called rich information embedded into this intelligent element of a BIM model. Designing and detailing and managing a building project is a highly complex process that requires fluent communication and collaboration between all members of the project. The benefits are listed on this slide, the real benefits of BIM. As you can see from this slide, the BIM model holds all the project views. and processed from all the project, extracted from all the project views is all the documentation in drawing and lists and schedules. To be fair, there are some drawbacks in our BIM evaluation. Compared to 2D drawing and 3D CAD, we can say that BIM could be difficult to learn, difficult to implement. BIM could require relatively higher levels of training for novice users, and generally is a new concept for cross-graders from 2D applications. It can also be a costly exercise for firms with no current 3D tools. Transitioning to BIM is not coming up with a bold, innovative way to do things exactly the way you've done them. It's totally different. The learning curve is different. The training is different. The mindset, I think, is the biggest difference. A very important aspect of BIM is collaboration. The AEC industry is moving from a file-based environment towards a data-based environment. The information stored in a BIM model can be shared in many file formats with external project team members. IFC is the standard universal framework that enables information sharing and interoperability throughout all phases of the project lifecycle between different softwares. So to break this down into layman's terms, external collaboration is incredibly important, and adopting a BIM approach that allows you to collaborate with other softwares is very, very important. There are many benefits, project benefits realized with BIM collaboration. The BIM model imported to analysis programs allows a wide range of analytical activities, including structural, energy efficiency, collision detection analysis, and coordination with other project trades like MEP or structural or civils. This helps to minimize the risk of construction problems. The construction industry is also moving towards automated solutions. So adding a time and cost information to the 3D model is a huge advantage. The need and point of view of construction companies are different to architects. Construction must excel in two areas: winning bids and effectively managing money, manpower, machinery, and materials required to construct a project. Assigning time and cost information in your BIM model, which is your 4D and your 5D aspect, offers automated solutions for the industry's problems. The 5D model is the basis of all elements of the project control, including constructability, analysis, cost estimation, and construction documentation. This might be a mouthful, but what we're trying to communicate here is there are many benefits to a project that is based on a BIM workflow. Clash detection is major, information management, time management, cost management, and the aspect of virtual reality. Virtual reality means that you have a better chance at communicating design, communicating clashes, communicating the end result with all stakeholders of the project. Again, long before the project is actually constructed. This is real data that can enable everyone in the project to make real decisions. This brings us onto our next topic of BIM tools. Again, BIM is not a software. BIM is a process. BIM is a mindset shift. But let's discuss BIM tools. When you are selecting your BIM tools, you need to be open, because nobody is an island. Nobody works alone. The most important principle of BIM-based planning and execution is improved cooperation between all project participants and the coordination of their work based on your 3D model, if you were an architect. Your BIM solution should therefore empower you to participate in this process. You should be able to share information with others efficiently and communicate effectively. The key here is open BIM. Ask the following questions when you are evaluating your software options. Does the software have an interface between other softwares? Which exchange formats are supported? What is the connection to other industry solutions, and how are they relevant to your software? Are there any possibilities to integrate your own existing applications that you work with into your software? On a note, we're talking about Slack, we're talking about Excel, we're talking about the Microsoft Word package. What are the options for working together on the model at the same time in a team environment and in a project partners environment? With that, we're talking about, will your BIM software allow multiple users to use the same drawing file? Will your BIM software allow the integration of your structural components into the software? You need your 3D model to be very rich with information. And this needs to happen throughout the project, not just at the beginning. Your BIM software should therefore be able to handle that information safely and remain powerful and agile, even on large projects. Very important is the agility of your software. How powerful is the software for large and complex projects? What is the average file size in megabytes and gigabytes? What is the average file size of your type of project? Do you have to break down your project into particular or partial models? Is the software able to reproduce those models? Can you reference other drawings in your BIM software? Can you reference PDFs? Can you reference DWGs? Can you reference external drawings? What level of detail can the software handle? Which phases of your work will the software cover? These are all very, very important questions as you evaluate your BIM tools. I think it's safe to say that your BIM capabilities are only as good as your BIM tools and the training that you have on your tools. We have finally reached how to begin with BIM. Displayed on the screen are 7 key points that we think are a really good start to beginning with BIM. We mentioned before, the AEC industry is moving towards an integration of disciplines. It is a more collaborative approach in doing projects. So we want you to understand that the biggest investment you're making is not software, but is a shift in thinking, is the change in management. BIM is going to transform the way you work as an individual and an organization. The best way to benefit is to take a holistic approach. Discuss this with your team and your external teams. Start by looking at where you are now and determine where you want to be in the near future. Consider your successes as a team, as an organization. Consider your failures on projects. Be open, be really transparent and honest. Take stock of the tools that you have, software or computer hardware. Take stock of the skills that you have available in both personnel and external talent. Document all these findings. It's very important to keep a record of this. BIM is about taking a collaborative, transparent approach and championing that mindset so that you can begin immediately. We would encourage you to make a plan. Appoint someone as a BIM champion in your organization. Appoint someone with varying levels of authority, with interest in software, with interest in tech. That person needs to be skilled with communication, self-motivated. Help them communicate your plan to transition to BIM across all sections of your office. Get your leadership on board. Definitely, so that people will listen. They don't need to understand all the technical details in the very beginning, but they do need to understand that you are making a shift, a mindset shift, a technology shift. And on the point of technology, make the technology available to everybody in your team. This allows everyone to place their own focus on the process and the tools. Don't wait to start a specific project. Let your team teach themselves in their own time. Let them test the software. Let them find ways to do things differently. When you are ready, find a willing client who will participate in a pilot project with you, and prepare yourself before you face that first. Really prepare yourself before you start that first BIM project. Approach BIM with a business as usual attitude. Make it easier to adopt. Map your process, map your workflow. I know we talk about workflow often, but what we're basically saying is the way that your organization works is your workflow. How do you move from the initial concept of a project to detailing it and to sharing information? That is a workflow. So map your existing process and see how BIM can assist or can elevate that process, make it easier, simpler, faster. Yes, and of course, you want to make a record of all the concerns of your team members. These will be issues later on if they're not addressed. So make a documented record of them and make a concerted effort to address those concerns. You will find concerns where some members are feeling inadequate. Some members don't believe that BIM is going to change things. There are some members who are stuck in the old ways of this is how we always did it. List those and find a way to mitigate them and communicate that fairly in an encouraging way to your team. Again, I want to mention that the biggest change in beginning with BIM is a mindset shift. You are looking at a totally different way of doing things. And in saying that, you also have a really incredible opportunity to do things differently, better, with more technology. And on that note, here are 10 BIM value adds for you to take note of. Number 1, better collaboration and communication. This is for both internal and external teams, your clients, your contractors, your suppliers, and the world. Your model-based cost estimations offer off the bat from schedules, real quantifiable elements that can be estimated on. Pre-construction visualization is incredible. VR, virtual reality. Your BIM model is the replica of the building to be built. So take advantage of that by testing it, by analyzing it, by showing it off, by collaborating with your client and your other professionals on the project. Improved coordination and clash detection. This is such a huge value. Clashes are the result of poor collaboration and a misuse of tools, and also a huge waste of project funds. So take advantage of this. Number 5, reduce cost and risk. BIM allows the entire team to predict, test, visualize, estimate, plan, and do planning for the entire project before the actual construction. This is a huge asset and a huge value add. Number 6, improve scheduling and sequencing. Adopting a BIM approach definitely saves you time. Drawings and documentation, as we mentioned before, are done simultaneously in BIM, so you have leverage to communicate and to plan efficiently. Number 7, increase productivity even in prefabrication stages. It is the art of knowing what needs to be made and resolving those details early. Number 8, safer construction sites. BIM can help improve construction safety by pinpointing hazards before they become problems. Number 9, improve the standard of builds. This is definitely a goal for all project professionals. The increased reliability of a coordinated model leads directly to a greater building quality. Strong FM at handover. Facilities management, as we mentioned before, is a huge benefit of having a BIM model. The information in this model empowers the operation of the building after construction is over by providing an ROI well after project completion. Using the technology of BIM, the end user usually is the client's team. They are able to easily manage future operations and maintenance of a building project because the intelligent information is inside the BIM model. Those are our 10 BIM value adds. I hope that you were convinced of them. Since this learning session is pre-recorded, I thought it would be fair to add some frequently asked questions and answer them. The first question is, what are the costs? What are the costs of implementing BIM? This is a great question. The costs are largely determined by the investment needed to make that shift towards BIM. After conducting an internal audit of your software, your tools, your skills, your talent, you are able to then formulate a plan that will give you the best value for time and money spent. We'll give you an example. Costs can be managed sometimes with some creative thinking. For instance, if your firm buys a high-spec computer, whenever there's a new starter, no matter what that new starter's position is, the new PC can be given to a power user. While that power user's old PC is passed down to somebody else, you have a trickle-down effect, which means you could potentially have all your power users on highly spec'd machines, providing them with the rigs they need to produce the work required. We wouldn't suggest you jump all in and completely change your entire system in your office, all your software all at one time. We would suggest that you integrate it slowly. Create a pod of users in your office that are going to test the software, produce a BIM model for a specific pilot project, and evaluate that. That is probably the most manageable way, because it can be very costly, sending everybody on training, upgrading machines to the highest specs. It could be a really costly exercise. Software in itself is incredibly expensive. We would also encourage you to make use of trial versions, student versions. If you have students and apprentice students in your team, make use of those, try those sessions out, get help from resellers so that you can really understand where to build and where to save. Another frequently asked question is, what is the learning curve? What is it going to be like? How long does this take? This is largely dependent on the approach taken by implementing BIM in your office. Is it available for everyone to use, I would ask? Is everyone in the team encouraged to test and experiment on the software? I would say that limiting the software to power users is a great mistake. Everyone should be able to try out your BIM software. Everyone should be allowed to use a trial version of the software that you're testing. Test it, and test it again. Test everybody's skills up against it. The more learning going on in your office, the shorter the learning curve will be. Make use of the resellers. Make use of skilled users on YouTube. Make use of free webinars, of sessions. Ask questions. This is how we learn. Now that we have the costs out of the way and the learning curve out of the way, who benefits? Who benefits from implementing BIM? And I will start by saying you. You are the direct benefactor of implementing BIM. Your team benefits. You lead because you have rich information at your fingertips to make better decisions, to plan better, to advise your clients better, and to allocate time better at progressing with your projects. Other consultants benefit as well. Actually, all stakeholders benefit, but you benefit the most because you are the individual that is progressing. By sharing and being transparent, a team of professionals can deliver a much better product for construction on time and in budget. This is done with BIM. This is done with collaboration. This is done with transparency, with openness, with the sharing of information. This is done with a digital disruption in our industry. While we are not all the Chuck Norrises in BIM, I think it's important to have a goal to reach there. The digital disruption in technology is an incredible opportunity for you to be empowered. As we create the buildings of the future and manage existing ones, you are empowered through BIM. BIM is not restricted to new buildings. I think it's really important to mention that. With 3D scanning technology and point cloud technology, existing buildings can be recreated with BIM tools and managed and rehabilitated. The possibilities are really limitless. The more you seek out information, the more you will find it. As much as we use software to create BIM models, I want you to remind you that BIM is a mindset shift in thinking, a shift in how we work. It requires us to be open-minded, open to sharing our ideas and our rough concepts in the early stages of the projects. It has the ability to create inclusive environments where project professionals and all stakeholders can add real value in the early stages of design. It is a mindset shift from withholding your information because it's not quite right, to sharing it in the early stages of the project so that we can test it, so that we can elaborate on it and create a better version of it. BIM is powerful. For this decade, I hope that you will make a commitment to begin with BIM on each project. I want to thank you for listening to this learning session, and I really hope that you received great value. Thank you so much. Cheers.